Is he still in high school?
Not anymore. I'm pretty sure he's in his early 20s now, but lives there at least part-time.
We had a boy in our neighborhood that when the family moved, we all had a party after they left. He was so bad. It's like, they're gone.
How old was he when they moved?
Oh, I'd say he was going into high school. As a kid, you know, I always plant flowers in the front yard. The day after I plant them, he comes down and rips them all, in my yard. And it's like, Ian, what are you doing? It's like, what are you going to do to me, huh? And he just,
oh my God.
Oh, wow. And his mom would just always defend him. It's like, boys will be boys. Why are you being so picky about your yard?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just menaced the entire neighborhood. We had a big party.
It is hard. We had a couple of rough ones in our neighborhood too, but they grew up and they're nice boys now. They're men, they're 25, but boy, their moms and dads were frazzled. They weren't like yours. They were so apologetic. They'd march the kids down and make them apologize to the different houses. You know, they had done stuff too. They doorbell ditch in the middle of the night, like from 3 to 5 a.m. non-stop. Not the same house every, but yeah. Or climb trees in your front yard that, you know, the young saplings break all the branches and just act like, you know. So anyway, it's hard.
It's hard.
It is, I think, hard. Boys, yeah. Don't grow up as fast.
So
We're all here.
we're all here.
Yeah. We got Jane and Patty.
Should we wait for Ken?
Yeah.
Todd. Is Todd not coming?
Oh, I don't know about Todd. I haven't heard from him. He might come in late. You didn't hear from Todd, did you?
I didn't hear from anybody.
I know.
I mean, well, then the assumption is everybody was
I
coming.
usually hear from Chris.
Nobody said
I'll
they
be in
weren't
person
coming.
or I'll be virtual.
Okay, are we recording?
Not yet.
Well,
I can
okay.
record, yeah. Let me.
Oh, there's two there. Oh.
Yeah, we got Jane and Patty
Okay.
virtual.
I thought we were way short.
Or,
Nobody.
no, yeah, at first I was like, where's everybody?
I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. This is Parks and Rec on May the 4th be with you, 2023. Did you get a chance to take a look at tonight's agenda?
Yep,
Do we have a motion to approve?
sure, I'll move to approve it.
Second? All in favor? Jane, are we good? Okay. And then did you get a chance to take a look at the summary notes?
Yes.
Were there any questions or changes needed?
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Right.
All right.
Okay, awesome. And Sarah, I noticed that we do not have any community comments tonight.
We do not.
Yay.
Do we think that that's because people feel okay or that they don't feel welcome?
Things are going so well with Parks and Rec.
Why? I don't know. So our first agenda item, or our next agenda item then, is the City Council updates, orientation, and goal setting. And if I may, I'm just going to start, because at our last meeting, I had taken ownership to put together a presentation to go to the board to help them really understand what we're doing. And two things occurred. One, heard that really needs to go through our city council liaison, which hasn't been appointed yet, I think. But two, the city council read through the entire master plan and put the rec center as the #1 priority, which is exactly what the master plan says, which was the biggest message. So I talked with Ken, and it's like, do you think? He said, well, you know, they're kind of already going in a real positive and informed, that's the key, informed direction. So I just kind of put that to-do item on hold thinking that it might be, at this point, superfluous. So with that, you want to talk at all about city council updates and goal setting?
Yeah, so city council did hold their retreat, a 2-day retreat, and they set their goals, and they haven't all been published yet. I mean, they've been in the paper, but the city manager's putting them together as part of his vision things. They haven't prioritized them, but indoor rec center was a major goal that they want to get moving on very fast. And the good thing is they actually took directly from our master plan, what was laid out in 2019 from all of our work, the steps to follow, to go through to get us to a place where hopefully that we could have a rec center. So, that's working with step one, starting out, and we're going to start to talk about, community needs, expectations, some cost recovery, operational costs. We'll probably do a survey of some type as we move along, as they start to move to bond language and make sure, that's, has a positive response from the community. So I'm working right now on a scope of work to get a consulting team on board, hopefully within about the next month, so that we can start to get that project going forward and moving in the way council wants. So,
Cool. Very good.
That was really exciting news.
It was. They kind of, our city manager let me know, I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday night, they might want to talk to you in the morning, and they had already identified it on day one and just wanted to talk a little bit on day two, and it was, very exciting. I think it's a nice opportunity for our community, hopefully going forward.
Cool.
Do you feel like they also recognized the need to protect the funds for the Willamette waterfront bond? Did you get the sense that, because that was the other key message, was don't keep spending, go bond. This is still a really important project.
Yeah, I think we're okay right now. I think on Monday night, City Manager Williams is presenting on Historic City Hall, and council's decided, if you don't know, to fully fund that project. It's projected about $1.9 million, and we've worked with our finance director and the bond, and it looks like, there's enough money there without taking money from other pieces of the bond right now that are already allocated to certain things. So we will probably have to look at this park section of the bond, though, as we look at this consulting for the rec centers and unplanned potential cost, obviously. If the council, likes what they see in the scope of work and want to move forward, that potentially is a couple $100,000 to get us to, a bond measure. So we'll have to see where that money comes from, and some of it may have to come out of the bond, and we'll have to just see what that looks like. So there may be some changes, but we're trying to preserve the money for the other priority, yes, the riverfront.
Great. And no word of a liaison being appointed yet?
I think they said they'll appoint them next meeting.
Okay, awesome. Any questions? Okay, then let's go ahead and go into budget updates and priorities.
I don't really, well, that's a new big priority, a rec center. We're still working on the next one, the non-motorized boat project. To get that through design review, last month we had another pre-application meeting with our planning and engineering department so that we can get to the point where we can submit to get it approved. So I'm still working with the consulting firm to see that scope of work and get that to a manageable size. It's potentially almost $300,000 the way it sits now, to get us to a 30% design on that project. So we may take a look at the project and some of the street improvements that, do we really want those? Do we really need those? Kind of on the park side, is there really an advantage to putting in a full curb and sidewalk when people may walk in the street? So we'll start to look at those things. Some of it, it's kind of had one of those traditional things with projects. it started out as a parks project, you know, and it was non-motorized boat and improving the parking on that side. And then it was a partnership with Public Works, and, you know, the scope just kind of creeps, called scope creep, right? It just kind of grows and grows and grows. And then it's kind of like, wow, is that what we really intended to start with? So, but hopefully in June, we'll have the next step of that scope with the consulting firm going forward. We'll just have to possibly nail it down and make sure it's what we want as a community. The budget is moving along. City managers is, you know, presenting it to staff and making sure everybody's on board, answering all the questions, going kind of, you know, this week. I went to 3 different buildings to present to staff and try and make sure everybody understands the budget and you know, that what's happening and where we are. It's still a balanced budget, which we have to do by state law. As I've mentioned before, we were bailed out a little bit. Every time we look 4 or 5 years forward, it doesn't look good, right? I mean, the forecast, if the revenues are low and expenses are high, you know, it doesn't look good for us. This time we were really bailed out kind of by $5.9 million in American Rescue Plan money, right? Kind of bailed us out. It helped pay for a lot of things, you know, from our union contracts that were, you know, with inflation, we're 5% increase in all salaries. And so the budget looks good, you know, and we'll continue to just slowly move it forward. A little later this year, we have a mayoral election coming up this month, and as soon as the mayor's elected, we'll know where we are, who is actually going to approve that budget, and that'll happen in early June.
Cool.
So you gave us, in March, these.
Yep.
Is that still what you're looking at?
It's still pretty much pretty much the same. Not a lot has changed. The one thing that I think was added, we are moving forward as a city with a Public Works and Operations building, which the property has been purchased off of Salamo Road below Barrington Heights, kind of down by the old rest area, or the ODOT
I know that.
property. It was a rest area years ago. And you know, we're working, that's projected to be about a $25 million project. As you know, we kind of live now, our parks maintenance and all our operations live in a neighborhood on Norfolk Street. We've been there for years. It's too small. It's not great for the neighbors. It's not great for any of our staff. So, but that won't be a bond. That's a full faith credit. So we've been working on how Parks and Rec pays our portion of the projected $5 million over the next 20 to 30 years. But that is something that's probably been officially added to the budget since March.
And where will that be located on Salamo?
Well, the access point, you know, as you come up Salamo, there's a little water tower.
Yes.
Kind of right below that is going to be the road's
Yeah, I
going to
do
go up.
see that.
Kind of
Yeah,
just,
there's like a
it kind of just
turnout
going
or
to
something.
sit down on that.
But it'll be down at freeway level. I
Wait,
mean, is that?
Pretty, yeah, there's a
Just
couple
above
plateaus. They'll be way
Okay.
down, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It shouldn't even be noticeable. I don't think if you were on top of the hill standing, I think you'll be able to see it, because it just kind of terraces all the way down.
But it'll be separate from the freeway, like it won't have.
I don't think there's going to be access from the freeway at all, no. I mean, there could be, I don't think we've got that far. Now we have a consultant kind of on the design team to work with all of our staff to find out what we need, right? And let's design the building and move forward in that way.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how they get onto Salamo then from there, because it's easy to go straight down the hill, but then you've almost got a U-turn to go up. So I'm sure they'll have to reconfigure that driveway.
I'm sure they will somehow. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the driveway you're thinking of now just goes right to that water tower. I
Oh,
think this would be a separate
okay, that
access
makes sense.
point.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly
Yeah.
what that looks like, yeah. Yeah. As far as I know, anyway.
All right.
Sounds necessary, though.
It's been needed for a long
Yeah,
time.
exactly. I've
Yeah.
been hearing about it for a while. That's good.
Good. Okay, anything else on the budget?
No, not unless there's questions, I don't think.
Okay. Well, you started talking about swimming and non-motorized boats. You had wanted us to put it on the agenda this month, when we did our year-at-a-glance of all of the months.
Right.
So is there anything else that?
No, I think just working with the consulting firm and trying to get that to move forward. I think as we've talked, how do we improve the swim areas is going to be something that we try to look at. One of our city councilors is trying to reach out to the property owner that's below Bernard Landing and start a conversation maybe where, staff hasn't had that opportunity yet. So that would help to find out maybe what those plans are. Our planning department next week is looking for city council to approve their consulting firm who is going to start back working on that waterfront project, which covers all three areas, from historic City Hall at the Arch Bridge. They've kind of broken into three segments up to Bernard Landing. And, most of their focus has been downriver, but it'll start to kind of lay things out, hopefully over time, from the Arch Bridge all the way up to Bernard Landing and hopefully.
Remind me again, Bernard Landing is where in relation to the park?
Well, it's right below, it's part of the park. I mean,
You say below, you mean downriver?
Yeah, downriver, I'm sorry, yeah.
The downriver end of the park.
Yeah,
Okay.
so right where the boat ramp is.
Oh, where the boat ramp is?
Yeah, we technically, that's where our lease technically ends.
Okay,
With PGE, who owns all that, take that back. They own 90% of the property except for
Okay.
some gaps. Now, we have easements for the trail that we currently have that goes down there.
okay,
We just don't have a lease there.
thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry.
And about Cedar Oak?
Oh, you want the whole parks update?
Well, no, just the
well, we can talk-
non-motorized boat stuff.
Well, Cedar Oak boat ramp, that project is 90% done. It doesn't really improve non-motorized boating. If you recall, what it does do is it provides a renovation to the parking lot along with the repaving and new curbing that will last 30 years versus the extruded curb that cracks.
Crumbling.
Yeah, this is real curbing. It gives us the opportunity to convert 14 parking places from vehicle with trailer only to single vehicle. We don't know how that's going to work yet, but the project isn't even done. We're able to open it today for boaters. It's beautiful new asphalt that has the little tabs down to mark parking places. Signage isn't there, so it's not done, but the fishermen were ready to park and go. So,
And you could walk across the river on fishing boats there at Clackamas Park.
yeah. Well, it's been difficult because the boat ramp at Sportcraft Marina by the bridge on the Oregon City side is a mess with the bridge construction.
Is it even open?
It's kind of open, it's a mess. Clackamas is closed, so the closest is Meldrum Bar in Milwaukee. Clackamas is
Clackamas
closed.
is closed?
Yeah, and so the nearest one is Meldrum Bar in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Wow.
They've just had issues for years. They're just trying to get it rebuilt. And
Wow.
Rough timing.
yeah, it's been closed almost over a year, I think. It's been a while.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Even either, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on the swimming and non-motorized boats?
No.
Okay. Are there any, before we get into other updates, any items of interest from board members? Anything that has come up over the last month that you want to bring up?
I will say, I went down on one of the non-raining days, what was it, 2? And went to Hammerley Park, and all the pickleball courts were in use. And I stood there by the kids' splash zone, and you couldn't hear the pickleball because of the road noise.
Road noise is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, it really is. You
And the
wouldn't
grandson
think that it would do
is-
that, but it was almost imperceptible. If you were doing something else, reading or something, it wouldn't draw your attention away. It was just interesting.
I think that's ended up being a good place for pickleball.
Yeah, apparently.
My 2.5-year-old grandson loves that little park because he likes
Oh,
to
yeah.
look at the trucks and everything
Yeah.
that goes on. I noticed the same sort of thing. Everybody's playing pickleball. and you couldn't hear them,
Yeah.
because the road noise is so significant.
Yeah. And it might be different in the evening, you know, summer evenings, and there's much traffic and so
Yeah,
forth.
but I mean, when there's traffic on that
Middle of
road,
the day on
pretty
Saturday,
much all day
yeah.
long, it's pretty significant.
Interesting.
And I don't think 43 is gonna get less traffic over time.
No,
So, I
no.
mean, even with the potholes. Well,
Well, I went down there twice, and one time it was full, and the other time, it was perfect, beautiful day, nobody
Nobody playing?
was on the court. It's like, go figure, who knows?
I have a friend who is in a league, and she said they went from Tanner Creek, you know, don't play there, so they moved down to Hammerly. And
Okay.
I got an earful about, when she found out I was on the grab, I got an earful about pickleball. I said, you know, when I joined this sport, I didn't even know what pickleball was. And now it's like we spend as much time on that as we do on everything else. And here I am bringing it up because I don't play.
I'm sorry, John, you were about to say?
One new thing. When you drive into Mary S. Young on the main road, and you go just by the gravel parking lot, which of course they're fixing now.
Yeah, nice.
The first speed bump there, if you're in the right-hand lane driving in, has a
The road's falling apart.
pothole that, you know, you can lose your car in if your car's not
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
So we would have thrown some gravel in there, but it's all gone since they're doing the thing.
I noticed that
Yeah.
when I was down there yesterday, like, wow.
Yeah, I had a friend come to walk with me, and he has a little sports car. He said, I almost lost my car. Because you're going over the speed bump and you can't see it. It's right after the speed bump, so you don't see the hole.
Oh,
If
yeah.
there was no speed bump, you would see the hole and you could avoid it.
Mhm.
So we ought to throw something in
Yeah,
there.
That road's getting old. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
before, the gravel's a little old, I mean, it's,
Oh, yeah, there's
Some
a,
dips in them, yeah.
but this one needs to
It does.
be repaired.
I think we can cold mix it, or have our streets guys who are versed in that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, because I think some cars are gonna bite it there.
Yeah, the last time I was there, I remember thinking, this is just a ridiculous road. But, no, thanks for bringing that up.
And I thought even to repaint the speed bumps, because the speed bumps aren't yellow anymore.
That's true, they're all faded, yeah.
They're starting to fade.
Mhm.
You got one, yeah.
Well, I was down there last weekend when they had closed off the gravel parking lot, those big signs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there was a ton of soccer players, and there was a bunch of other people playing,
Did you
lacrosse.
Yeah.
Did you?
And we were down there because we run at 10 o'clock, but I told my kids I knew that was coming, so they all parked on Mark Lane, and my runners came over, and we ran at 10 o'clock, but I got there about 9 o'clock and found one parking space. And then what people started doing, you've probably heard about this, they parked all along the no parking,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
all the way to the gravel parking lot.
Yeah.
And then what happened is a couple guys in trucks got out of their trucks and took the signs that said road closed and moved those to the side, and then everybody parked in.
Yeah, and then they almost got in fights. Yeah, we got called by the police.
Mhm.
They had to open.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It was terrible.
We utilized, our staff did a great job communicating with them over 3 weeks, and their ability to self-regulate failed.
Yeah, it did.
So this weekend, the fields are all closed.
Okay, that's
The
good.
fields are closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We removed everybody.
Yeah, they're moving the games to other
Yes,
locations.
last weekend, unfortunately,
That's
was
too
a
bad.
test, and it didn't work well.
Well, and the hard part was that with all those people parked along the no parking zone,
One
there's
way.
basically one lane.
One lane,
If they
exactly.
needed to bring any emergency vehicle down, there would be no way to get
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
And, so it was kind of, I figured you guys were going to get a few calls. My kid said, are you going to call the park guys? I said, I think they've already heard about this.
I heard from the police.
I heard from the sergeant,
Yeah.
yeah, he called me
Yeah,
and
well,
texted
'cause
me,
he's
we've had a
going-
crisis down here.
He would have said,
Like,
what am I
whoa,
going to
what's going
do?
on?
Mind put my car out in the one lane that's there and write tickets for all these guys? No, he was just trying to direct traffic.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when will it be, completed? Next weekend and then opened up the following, or not necessarily? Because originally I know it was supposed to be last weekend in April, but.
What happened, I mean, it was originally supposed to start the 17th, and then with weather,
Yeah.
they ended up, we were able to let youth sports, it's not closed this weekend, it's not closed 2 weekends ago, because they ended up kind of doing what they could, and then once they started Cedar Oak, they didn't want to go to Mary S. Young, because they wanted to get that one completely done.
Yeah.
So they were supposed to pour concrete today and tomorrow, all the curbing out
They
front.
did pour concrete yesterday,
Okay.
and they were, I think, I was in the park both days, but they poured the concrete where they're doing the drainage stuff at the end of the
Yeah,
the park. And now they're pouring, today they look like they were setting the stuff to pour the concrete
all the curving.
for the entries for the curbing, yeah.
So it's probably gonna be, I think, by the end of next week, hopefully, it'll be usable. And it'll be probably, once they put the asphalt down, you can't even put the thermoplastic striping down for 14 days after the asphalt is laid. And then you obviously need something that's not really wet, you know, to be able to put those stripes down. So it'll be
Scrum.
kind of like
A good
Cedar
2 to
Road,
3
not-
weeks.
but at least we don't have boats there, but it'll be,
Yeah,
probably have temporary tabs for people to park, and hopefully they figure it
won't
out.
be too
It'll be
chaotic.
better than the gravel in the past, 'cause,
Yeah,
you know,
That was why,
that would get so crazy.
willy-nilly.
if you get the first couple cars started right, it'll work.
Yeah, so I mean, now it'll be painted, and so you'll be able to park in there
Eventually, yeah,
and
it'll,
get in and out without run over people.
Yeah,
it'll be very nice when
it'll be.
Some of my trail guys are looking at it, well, how are they draining this? I said, not exactly sure. We'll wait until they drain it, and if it doesn't do any.
the parking lot,
If there's, yeah, the parking lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just got enough grade that water's just gonna run to both sides.
all to both sides, but are they gonna let that fill up, or is that gonna go someplace?
That doesn't really go anywhere. They'll fill it with soils and probably some native plants and things. It'll be just a little rain garden.
Yeah.
there's a walkway though, just to the left on the, you know, as you're facing the river, on the left, there's like a bark.
Trail, it's
Trail,
part of
yeah.
the trail.
Yeah, well, yeah, the trail will still come in the middle, so the end of the parking lot, the trail will still come in.
Right.
But the trail will, yeah, you mean the one around the
Around
parking
it,
lot?
yeah,
It'll
yeah.
still, it will go around.
But it won't be flooded then if it's leaning that way, the rain won't.
Shouldn't, because you'll have curbing all
Well, the
along.
area that they've dug is pretty deep. The
Yeah.
question will be, if you have in the winter a lot of rain and the soil gets full, and you have a 2-inch day, if that fills up, where does that go? And my trail guys were complaining about that. I said, well, you look how deep those are. That'd have to be a lot of water. And if it goes near our trails, it's not like we haven't drained things before.
Right.
Well,
Not a
and
problem.
that gravel lot at the, what would be the southeast corner, I mean, the heavy rain, it's full of water anyway.
Both corners kind of used to fill with water.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it'd
We
be.
used to have the one chips on the right
Yeah.
side for years, then we
Yeah.
switched to
That
the
was
left.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Anyway, there's a lot of guys working there now. It looks great.
Good,
that's great.
yeah. That's
Are
gonna be
there-
a huge improvement.
Other items of interest from board members? Jane, Patty, we haven't heard a whole lot from you. Anything on your mind that you wanted to bring tonight? Okay,
Not for me.
okay. Then, summer events. We have so much planned, and, I said you might want to read it and take a look at the web. There's so much on the website and a lot of stuff planned. You want to just
Yeah, can I borrow your,
I forgot to print it off. That's okay. I just want to
Bring
make
the
sure.
whole plan?
I know, I was like, shoot, I forgot that part. Yeah, if you want to just talk us through what, we have in store this summer?
yes. Just trying to think.
Next
So
weekend.
we have our plant sale next week, at the adult center, so Thursday and Friday. The street market, that was starting earlier, so I'll have to double check on that, because it's 28th. I think it's the 17th
Seventeenth,
now.
I think they've changed it.
May?
Down
Yeah.
11, yeah, they're
So
starting
I'll double
very
check.
early.
Oh, great.
That is good.
So then Juneteenth, we're kind of, I guess, involved, it's on a Sunday, I believe
Yeah.
now, and they're trying to do it at the garage.
Right,
Yeah, so they're not
Right,
gonna
and
have it in the park, from my understanding.
yeah.
We do have staff that goes to some of their meetings to be involved, but we probably won't have a huge presence
just
there, Parks and
coordinating.
Rec. Yeah, we'll just have a coordination. But yeah, they're planning on having that down at the garage on this Sunday.
The
So that's
garage
correct.
On the
is,
Willamette
Oh, sorry,
Drive, yeah.
18th, so that'd be
Is-
18th.
The garage or the food carts?
Food carts.
it is absolutely packed
Yeah.
every single night. I mean, there's not a parking space anywhere. It is,
Good for them.
it could be 3
Great,
times
yeah.
the size.
Cool.
It's like a little sardine can.
Very popular. Mhm.
They're popular everywhere. I mean, that model, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that,
That one over at Oregon City by,
Yeah.
Tony's is the
Yeah.
same way. It's always full of people.
yeah, we go to, there was one
Terrible
on
park.
Sunnyside in
Yeah.
Happy Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Those bigger indoor facilities, so many more tables. And we just found out there's one out in Troutdale we went to, which is exactly by the same owner, the whole, I mean, it's just, and it was so packed too. It's like, you can't build parking lots big enough for all the
Yeah.
food carts.
Mhm.
With the indoor spaces, I mean,
Yeah,
it's really,
covered spaces and things, yeah.
I don't know if it's a fad or here forever, but
I like the corner, what's that, corner 14? Anyway.
Yeah.
yeah.
So still in June, so, yeah, we have Pollinator Week. We are going to celebrate on site at Marius Young, that Thursday and Friday of that week, so the 22nd, 23rd.
Of June.
Of June. So we'll be at Marius, we'll have a tent, we'll have a craft, we'll have a scavenger hunt, we'll have giveaways, plants, we'll have master gardeners come out and have a little display on Friday, answer any questions. And then throughout the week, we'll just we'll do some stuff on social media. Full-time fair, yep, 7th through the 9th, moving forward. Every day, yep, music in the park,
When does that start?
July 27th. Those will be, yeah, the Thursdays, we have 1, 2, 3, 5 of those. So, and in August, we're gonna have the 3 movies. Those will all be at Marius Young in August on Saturdays, 5th, 12th, and 19th. September, that's blank. We'll probably put something in there, I know, at some point.
That's fall. That's
Yeah, that's
fall.
fall. Or we're getting ready
It is,
for,
well,
fall
but maybe the only
registration.
month it doesn't
Yeah.
rain.
Yeah, our staff are working, they're working great for sponsorship for all of our events. They're reaching out to local businesses to see who wants to partner with us. They're doing a great job. They're also, we also have right now, getting ready for the Teddy Bear Parade. So we have those that, are looking to be ambassadors, and our current queen, are out collecting teddy bears. And we normally end up with, I don't know, even 500, 600, 700 teddy bears for the Teddy Bear Parade in Oregon City. It's kind of, if you haven't seen it, it's kind of crazy. I mean, teddy bears cover an antique fire truck from front to back, 3 layers deep. I mean, it's kind of crazy, that event, but,
Yeah. This Saturday, yeah, the first thing.
Yeah.
And then Boo, I will do a Boo event again in October. That'll probably be down at Marius Young Park. November, Holiday Bazaar. December, tree lighting and holiday sweater dash and parade. And then back to the Polish lunch.
So, the street dance was canceled, right? No
Right.
street dance?
No. Mm-mm.
That was one of my favorites.
I mean, logistically, we've talked about it and maybe trying to partner with somebody. We were trying to look at the garage location and maybe block off a street there. It's just challenging this year with,
logistically, it's really
I mean-
challenging, because when we try to partner with people, you know, it's like, they want to do it, but the city just needs to take on all the expenses and all the work. And the way they want to format it so that you can have an adult beverage and walk around everywhere
Yeah.
is a great concept, but down there, working with OLCC, it's like, oh, you need a 6-foot fence, you have to fence the whole area off.
Right.
So now, okay, so now we have to run the fence right in front of the businesses, right? So now you have to cut off all the businesses
Wow.
in there. So it's really not a partnership anymore. It's like, we're gonna put a fence right down the, I
Yeah,
mean, that's a complex area, but right between the cars and where the bike lane, right? And
Yeah.
fence everything off,
No.
you know, so it's like, there's not a partnership with the businesses. You would need to have, you know, your adult beverage providers inside the fence, and it's like, you know, so it's, the way we used to do it before rules changed worked great. It was a phenomenal event, 3,000 to 4,000 people. Rules weren't, you know, OLCC rules were just not as strict, or they didn't
Yeah.
enforce them, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it was
Well, I think they've been there for a
pre-pandemic.
long time, but if you have an
Pre-pandemic.
alcoholic beverage
Well,
from a business, you can't walk out in the street with it.
yeah, and it was so complicated because what complicates it is you can, you know, the event can have a special event permit for alcohol, right?
Right.
But nobody can walk, say, from Little Cooperstown, their patio is the OLCC area.
Right.
Nobody could step off that curb into the special event area.
Right.
You can't commingle alcohol, which, you know, made it just logistically kind of impossible to partner with anybody. It was just,
Wow.
you know, so we would certainly look at doing something. We just kind of, it just became, maybe it goes to a park or something, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, if you do it in the park, it's much easier, because then you can fence that in,
Changes.
and then you have all your alcohol in
Like
one area.
fair.
I mean, look what happens in downtown Portland all the time, is they just fence off
Yeah, but then
waterfront park, and there you go.
It's not the street dance.
the street is kind of
Right.
unique, right?
It's hard to dance
Yeah.
on grass.
This was
You can dance in the street, just can't have any alcohol there.
Right.
Yeah, it just got a little complicated.
But thanks for explaining why. That's
Yeah,
nice to know.
we worked on it
We tried.
all through the pandemic,
Yeah.
trying to figure it out.
Thanks.
Trying to think of, yeah, well,
Okay, let me go back to the agenda. Any comments or anything? No? Then adult, community center.
all right. So I touched on, yeah, some of the events that we're working on just currently. So where's my little notes?
Oh,
We
you
just
talking
had
about the
Earth
plan.
Day, yeah. So, yeah, our last big event was Earth Day. We had about 100 volunteers come out at Fieldsbridge Park. So we planted about 150 plants in the roundabout. I don't know if you've been down there. It's really nice. Trees in the center, got that all cleaned up. We removed about 3 boxes, you know, bins full of ivy, blackberries, you know, pulled out some pieces of porta potty, some metal, all sorts of good stuff in the wetland area over there. So it was great. It was a great event. Lions hosted a lunch for us, and so everyone was really happy. Good turnout. You know, we got the Mother's Day plant sale next Thursday, Friday. We're getting geared up for summer camps. We are going to have some recreation interviews coming up, so we're pretty excited to get some rec attendants and supervisors and a director for our summer camp.
We actually have some applicants.
I know, I was
this year.
like so excited.
It is.
We have applicants.
It's very exciting. Someone apply for your jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you couldn't hire anybody last year.
Yeah.
It's very minimal, yeah.
Yeah, in the adult center, we do have our new recreation coordinator over there, Nicole, so she's been great, learning new things. They're doing some great bus trips, so she's kind of planning all of those. They got the updated newsletter and just gearing up for some summer stuff. More classes, programs.
Super.
Probably more.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah, better. We've got, our new recreation coordinator's here, and yeah, we've got, on-call recreation coordinator too. It's really helping with summer camp, so it's been really helpful. But yeah, just getting those sponsorships. The fair, we've got about 35, exhibitor booths already for our fair, so pretty excited about that, yeah.
Awesome.
It's a change.
Yeah.
We have a new vendor in the beer garden, we have new carnival concessionaire, so,
Yeah.
you know, trying to make sure that everybody understands how it's supposed to work when they show up, and, you know, it's always a challenge for them with the exhibitors and getting them all in there and, you know, getting them all set up smoothly. It is always a challenge.
Sure it is.
Yeah, a lot of pre-coordination, so.
Awesome. Okay, then department and project updates.
So once again, I love to highlight this. We have about 8 Adopt a Park programs this month. Skyline Ridge has theirs this Saturday, which is one that does it maybe 3 or 4 times a year. It's one of ours that they do a great job helping us with that specific park up there. You know, flower beds, some different things. We support them there. Projects, we've started annual pressure washing of the millions of square feet of concrete we have, and we have a contractor and we have staff that do that. We've been able to mow a little bit. Some of our parks kind of looked like they were headed towards hay fields for a minute, and the sun came out for 4 days. So, so we
90 degrees makes the grass grow.
yeah, but we got Tanner Creek mowed. It was like, oh my gosh, it just happens. And we're working for Sahalee and Sunset Park, have nature playgrounds, and some of their steppers, they're kind of logs that come out, you know, have a life expectancy, and we're getting ready to change some of those out. We were able to, Sunset Neighborhood Association, ever since they were involved in the design of the new park that was built, basically rebuilt at Sunset, they've wanted a swing set ever since they decided they didn't want one, now they want one. So it does look like we're gonna be able to make them happy and put in a little two-bay swing. We're gonna remove some steppers that weren't quite used as much, and they've, another activity for kids, because it's got a lot of other nature play there. So we're gonna put in, probably in July timeframe, a little two-bay swing that will have one 88 basket type swing for those with disabilities, and then a regular bucket swing for, kids that don't have disabilities. So that hopefully makes them happy. Like I said, I think that pretty much covers the project. There's been a lot of getting ready for summer, kind of, as we, we've just been working hard to get the staff all prepared, get the events ready, registration for programs, and obviously working on budgets and consulting firms and things like that. So
Picnic rentals.
Picnic rentals, yeah.
And popular.
Yeah. It's been really busy, but
Great.
going as well as expected, I think,
Yeah.
considering it's
Right.
thunderstorms and rain again.
I know, my God. And it's gonna
They're on a
crazy.
lightning last night, lightning this morning.
Kind of depressing again, but it's gonna be nice.
Late, it's, I think, high 70s, low 80s, end of next week, though.
Mm-hmm.
But that could change. Too hard to
Day by day.
In terms
They have trouble
of,
predicting tomorrow.
I
let
know.
alone-
I know.
I like to look at the 10-day weather forecast,
Yeah.
but it's like my wife always laughs at me. Are you kidding me?
I know.
yeah, we like to get.
Optimistic, and it's like, oh.
So I have a
Yeah.
question, there's new gravel, it's not even quarter minus, it's like, it is bigger, like chunkier gravel, on the path, part of it, between like, from, it must be Ponderay, down the path that wraps around to
Behind
Tanner.
the homes.
But it's only, it like stopped, less than halfway. What's the story with that? Because it's still
Well, is that-
very muddy in parts of that. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
there's like
think-
a water break. Do
I
you
think
see all
it's-
that water back there on that path?
Well,
When it's dry, it's so
as we
strange.
said, I've walked there about 10 times, and it's not as muddy now because the sun.
I know.
So I don't think it's a leak, but they did gravel, I think it was last year, because if you go, from your house, you go down and take that little steep path,
Yes,
that goes down to the gravel.
yes.
They did put new gravel for about 100 feet, because I think there was some drainage issues.
Yeah.
And then right after the new gravel, I think that's kind of new from this winter, is what I noticed. Because then there's a mucky spot, and then when you get up to where you kind of turn to the right, it gets good again.
I know, but I
So-
think that house, there's either a swale issue, a natural water
It's,
creek,
it-
or spring,
yeah,
or it's
I
a
mean-
water issue from one of those houses. Because even in the summer, like, I hear kids crashing their bikes because they'll all of a sudden hit mud. It's like dry, and then you know how that is when you hit sand.
yeah, we can have them take a look at it. I mean, all those houses are, 15 feet above the pathway, and all those yards just kind of slope right back down. So, but I can have them take a look and see if, I mean, once the weather's a little drier,
Yeah,
they can maybe see if it is a drainage issue of some type.
yeah, I kind
I
of
mean-
think there is something going on. Because last
There
summer it
certainly
was
could
dry
be.
for months. Remember how dry it was
Yeah,
at one point
yeah,
last
still
summer?
wet.
And it was, yeah, very wet. And just like a section of maybe, 150 feet.
Well, when it stops
Wow.
raining, we'll look, but I guarantee there's water today.
I was just thinking, since the gravel stopped right before it got really muddy, I thought, oh, I should keep going. But anyway,
And I'm not sure if it
yeah,
is new, but
yeah, no, it definitely is new. But anyway,
we will take a look,
okay.
absolutely.
Thanks. Do you have any feedback from city council for us, or any, items they wanted us to discuss?
No, I don't, they, for the most part, I mean, just went through when they did their retreat. I think, we will see how, I think you will certainly be involved, and I don't know how this is gonna work yet with our consulting firm, with the rec center, but I certainly think it's an opportunity for the Parks Board to be involved, whether all of you are on some committee, or some of you are on some committee, or if we decide to have some committee of some type, but there'll certainly be community outreach to, have conversations about what are the needs and wants, and, kind of balance those with what a facility looks like, with what is the cost and what's tolerable, and, blending that together.
We've been that route before.
I remember
We are.
when we talked about the rec center last time, you know, the Boy Scouts had like, at that point, had 100 kids in the troop, all going to West Linn High and the middle schools. And I talked them into letting me have one of their meetings. And the whole meeting was discussions around what is needed in a rec center. And it was pretty cool, I mean, to have 100 kids that would be, you know, using it, providing input. That was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think while the information might be 10 years old, I think based on even meetings I've had recently with some folks that want to have a teen center, teen lounge for kids in the middle school, you know, that at Rosemont, they all come down to this complex and, you know, create certain issues for different companies and stores and things. And so, you know, I think we've learned something from the past of really, I think initially we think we know what our community wants. You know, they do want that community center where you don't like have to pay to walk in the front door, where there's some common areas, you know, a true community recreation center. And I think, you know, that's still valid. So I think even though things weren't successful in the past, I think there was a lot of lessons learned, and hopefully the consulting firm will look at all that data we had 10 years ago, even though it's older.
I think the information on
And
the indoor rec center was really solid. I think when you added the aquatics, it got really distorted by very passionate special interests. So the indoor rec center portion of it, I remember being pretty solid information.
And I think when you add the pool, it certainly just makes everything grow. You know, because now you need the bigger dry side to support the financial aspects of the pool. You know, so now when the focus is not on a pool, it's just a community rec center, it changes it a little bit of, you know, your annual costs and operations aren't going to be near what they would with a pool. So even though the master plan says years 7 to 9, which is out of whack now with the pandemic and things, you look at a possibility of a pool. So I think that'll still be factored in to have enough dry side activities that someday may support at least that conversation of a pool down the road, you know, if it gets there. And so,
if we talk about a rec center, people are still going to mention pool.
They are.
I mean, because that's, you know,
it's just not,
especially with the big stuff that's going on in Lake Oswego.
It's just not phase one, right? I mean, I think it may be a tertiary part of the conversation out here that yes, we'll leave space at the site, and yes, you can add a pool. What does it look like? We don't know yet, but, you know,
expansion is possible.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly want to make that, absolutely, I think,
Okay, then if there isn't anything else, our next meeting is June 8th, and it sounds like things are going very smoothly. Is there any?
Great.
Is there anything you need from us over this next month?
I don't think so. I mean, there may be communication that, no, probably not. I mean, we probably need to get a consulting contract on board before we start to move forward too fast.
Exactly.
As much as, you know, council has said they'd like to go for a bond measure in '24.
Given the amount of...
We're halfway through '23. So.
Well, I mean, I think many of the people on this board, most people on this board would like to be involved in community outreach. And that sort of thing, because that's going to be the most important thing, to make sure that that's solid. Even though we've done that before 10 years ago, it's nice to do that again and see what is it the community wants. And we all have, each of us have an idea about what we might want there.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't have teens anymore, but I mean, I think an area for teens to collect is really important.
Yeah, I think.
Because they can create a lot of problems in a lot of places. If we put them someplace that we have people there that are managing a facility, that you can have them after they leave the middle school or wherever they are, That
You
was
mean
really good.
instead of the aisles of Safeway?
Mm-hmm. Market.
Safeway would be happy to have, you know, someplace.
That's,
Or they could get their,
was Safeway on this.
the downside is they'll get their food at Safeway and then they'll go to.
Safeway's giving out free Starbucks, just send them over there. Starbucks is giving out free Safeway gift cards, get them over there.
Oh,
It's hard, they don't have anywhere to go.
You gotta love middle schoolers.
No, you don't.
okay. Then if there aren't any other items of interest, we'll close our meeting, and I think that we could make this a record,
Yeah.
Well,
time.
John might be